Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Ryan Johnson. He's the founder and CEO of Three Sparrows Executive Services. He's also a business coach. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thank you so much, AJ. It's a pleasure being here with you.
You are welcome to the show, Ryan. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk about. We'll be talking about how to grow more and risk less in business. We'll learn a lot of business growth secrets from you. But first, to understand from you, Ryan, is the line itself: grow more and risk less. You use it in a number of places around your website, in a lot of places, even on LinkedIn, I saw it. Help us understand what it means. Does it mean risk-free business, or should entrepreneurs leave business aside and only think about growing? Help us with that. All that.
Sure. Yeah, that's a great question. So when I started my business just 13, 14 months ago, after a career in higher education and executive leadership, I went through a lot of learning spells and changes. And so what I learned was you can empower and maximize your people to create great processes that run themselves and then increase productivity. Anybody can throw money at a problem. That's the easy fix. But great coaches, I used to be a baseball coach. Great coaches learn how to coach. They learn how to recruit on a small budget. And so I was always in a small budget operation, 10 million or less. And so the key there is to think creatively, empower your people, create rock solid processes so you can execute and increase the productivity. So there's always risk. So that's a great question, AJ. I'm glad you said that. It doesn't mean there's no risk involved at any point. But a lot of the time, small businesses need more executive leadership. And it's easy just to say, well, let's just go hire a full-time COO or CFO or whatever you want to go out and hire. That's really expensive, especially on the global market. So my solution here is to empower those people, bring people in that can help empower your existing people without a heavy commitment and risking so much to your business that may not turn out very well.
Right. Thank you for that, Ryan. So to understand now, business growth, without growth, you will stop growing at all, and you may just die out.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to understand then, how should business owners, especially from a point of view of small businesses, how can they approach growth? Should they depend on their vision? Should they depend on their product and services? Should they depend on employees? How should they? Because for them also, several of them, it is the first time they are going on this particular, journey. So how would you like to tell them to approach this thing called, business growth for whatever they are doing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Most people, when you think about growth, you think about just more sales. Let's just get more clients, more customers, and let's grow. And that's a good problem to have. And yes, they would be right. It is a good problem to have. However, if you don't have the structure, the infrastructure to support the growth, then you're back to square one, and you may fail even further. You may fail even worse if you get all this growth and you can't fulfill your clients or your customers. So if you build your vision, your mission up and create great processes, and you have people that can think for themselves and get things done outside of just the CEO or the owner, then you'll be able to handle the growth. Now, of course, these processes come in all aspects. You're gonna have great processes in sales and marketing. And so once you have great processes and infrastructure to handle that on the customer fulfillment side, then that's when you can really take off and grow. So you have to do it all, AJ, but you can't get the cart before the horse. You have to build the foundation before you bring in your customers and clients, or else you're not going to serve them well. And then they're going to let everybody know that. And then that will be detrimental.
Right. But how do they start? Because as I said, this is just for many of them, it is the first entrepreneurship, that they had taken up in their life. So,
Mhm.
and what is the right time to get in more people involved? Maybe their vision is fine, they are doing fine, and
Mhm.
they are also looking at growth. But is it that they should work in terms of 1x, 2x, or 10x straight way? They should think of. And how do you add those, you can say, things in between, so that it becomes a full-fledged nice
Mhm.
vehicle that can run on a good road as well as a bad road, because things
Mhm.
can be bad going on. How do
Mhm.
you do that? What do? You get many employees at the same time, or you look at only, as you call them, rock star employees, and then you get them into the system? What about leadership? You
Mhm.
can be a good visionary, you can think about a good product or services, but you can not necessarily you are the best leader. So how do you
Mhm.
do? Do you add one more layer to your system? How
Mhm.
does that work? Especially, again, as I said, millions of small businesses are there who are looking at scaling up, and maybe if some investor comes in, then that is another problem, because the investor will breathe down their neck all the time in terms of a very
Mhm.
fast growth trajectory. But that's a different story. First, when they are the full owners themselves.
Mhm. Yeah. So, yeah, thanks for allowing me to speak on it. So, I will start with the vision and the mission. So, let's just say we're talking about small entrepreneurs, small businesses. What your audience is here. Um, you have to set up that vision and mission first, as you said. Once you have that going, you've got a few employees. You really need to figure out how to get the minimal viable product moving well, and everybody that you bring on board has specific roles and are completely maxed out. Like, we don't want to just keep adding people because we know other businesses like us have so many employees. Well, let's just grow incrementally. That's the risk less part of this of my model, is let's make sure everybody's doing 100% before we bring in other people. You don't want some people doing 50% and some doing 75%. And typically what happens in these small businesses, you have the CEO that or the business owner that loves the product, loves, has the greatest vision, but doesn't take the time to pass that vision down to the people. So they're just sending everything to them all the time, saying, well, here's this problem, go figure it out. Here's, I don't know what to do here, go figure it out. And all of a sudden the CEO and the business owner are maxed out, and they're getting burned out. But their people could be doing more. So before you add more, you have to make sure everybody's thinking like an owner. Everybody owns that business and they're highly invested in it, whether they're a 1099 worker or W-2. They have to feel the same weight of it as the owner does. So that would be the key before I would start adding more people. Now, once there's an evaluation system in place, and the owner knows exactly what everybody's doing, everybody's reporting on that well. We see growth happening. Then it would be a time to say, let's bring on maybe a 1099 leader here to help the CEO manage those direct reports, whether that's a COO like myself, or a CTO or a CRO, any type of person that kind of has a holistic view of the company that can help the CEO run the business better, the business owner run that business better. Because if that visionary burns out, then everybody's going to burn out, and it's going to go away. So I really support the business owner well, and I believe that's the key to before you add more people, is really make sure you know exactly what everybody's doing, and everybody's sharing in that load.
Right, right. Uh, One problem that a lot of people nowadays face, whether big businesses, small businesses, is that employees now want much more work-life balance,
Hmm.
and a small business may need more employees who can devote much more time to the vision, because the customers will expect much more. The systems are still, you are trying to put those into place. So
Hmm.
how do you get good employees into the system?
Hmm.
How do you make sure that they stay with you? Because initially, when they are representing a small company, they are almost like ambassadors. If
Hmm.
they change, and because they are talking to a lot of people on the ground, they
Hmm.
change, then there is a lot of problems. So how do you do that part, especially in times when good employees may want much more life balance, work life balance in their
Hmm.
lives, because they would look at it mainly from a point of view as a job. And
Hmm.
then how do you create that even leadership structure when you yourself are much more not a leader, but much more, uh, much more of a hands-on person? A
Hmm.
leadership will be a bit different. How do you do this two difficult parts along the way?
Yeah, leadership is everything in this. I keep going back to the vision because if there's not a compelling vision and mission, then it will just be a job for people, and they'll try to get as much money as they can and work as little as possible. So if that leader, and so it starts with the leader. If the leader is really empathetic, really cares about the mission and the people to help him carry out the mission, he's going to take his time to find the right people that want to see this mission come to fruition. However, I know it's hard today. It's easy for people to just say, "Yeah, it sounds great," and then they get into the job and they just don't honor their commitment to the business. So I get that. I think it's a balance of mission and vision and sharing in the revenue. You know, giving bonuses, commissions on top of pay. That's a very popular thing to do today. I think the work life balance, anything that the owner can do to really show that I care about your personal growth as well, is really key. You know, I care about your family. I care about your goals, and so let me help you get your goals and try to create as much transparent communication as possible. Because if someone says, "Well, you know what, I really would like to be a manager or leader someday," okay, well, let me nurture you and help you get there in my company. Instead of them thinking, okay, I've got to go jump to another job and keep stair stepping my way up, that type of thing. That doesn't help anybody. And so I think you have to have that compelling vision. You got to have an empathetic leader that really cares about their people. And so if you don't have those two things in that leadership role, it will crumble. And so that's why having somebody else, to an executive leader, to help them, give them feedback and really not necessarily coach them, but just give them be a good sounding board for them, I think is really key to keep them on track.
Right, right, right. And when does a business coach like you come in? And also tell at the same time about Three Sparrows Executive Services.
Sure, yeah. Well, I created Three Sparrows Executive Services to support that small business owner, and to help them lead the vision, not the operations. Because I keep going back to the vision, because it is so important. They have to stay focused on that. They have to, and maybe they're really strong in one aspect of the business, maybe business development, or typically their business development. But I want them to really focus on that and let me handle the operations. Let me take on the direct reports of the managers. So that's my fractional COO role. And then as a trainer and a coach, I also love to help those managers grow those managers, for the CEO. So if the CEO or the business owner is not ready for even a fractional COO, a part-time COO to come in, I enjoy training and coaching them to get them to where they're thinking and acting like owners. And so also too, I love helping support those small business owners in the growth process and the strategic growth planning process. So those are three great ways, on very little investment, compared to a full-time executive salary, that we can help. So that's where that slogan comes in: grow more, risk less. My goal, and any good fractional employee's goal, is to help that company grow without just covering them up with a commitment that might not work out in the future.
Right, right, right. I earlier talked about investor money coming in,
Hmm.
and you talked about going back to the vision.
Hmm.
When some money coming in, investor money coming in, if it's a small amount, you still have that say. If it's a slightly, uh, larger amount, or you have sold out, how do you then look at, and you are still running the company, how do you keep on running the company and getting back to the vision, because then that vision will change to also the vision of the investors. They would want to run very, very fast, whereas you might be having the vision of,
Mhm.
growing at your own pace. Do you
Yeah.
think then small businesses, they said, should just fully exit, or just look at it again? You need to change the vision. How do you calibrate both the things at that point in time, because you also need money from outside, but you also want to still serve the community with whatever vision of product and services you had?
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's a great question because that gets tricky when you start bringing money and other people's money into the mix. So I would start and try to be as creative as possible because that's part of the risk, right? Is when you bring in these other investors, they're demanding more, and so that's going to create a lot more anxiety and a lot more stress to the situation. So I would, and I understand there's certain businesses that you just need that seed money. You need investors to come in and invest in your business. But I would try to do it without investors as long as possible. But again, I understand there's different industries and that require that. But that's when you don't compromise the mission. Maybe the vision of the company would change a little bit as far as timelines and where we think we're going to be at a certain point in time. But the mission, if they want you to compromise the mission, I think it's a bad partnership. You need to find someone that's really wants to fulfill the mission of the company first. And if that happens, I believe the investors will uh, really want to work side by side and really understand where the business owner wants to go, and it's going to be a better partnership. But don't just take money to take money. They have to align with the mission, or else it'll be a failed partnership for sure.
Right, right. Be that as it may, the world is changing fast, but a lot of business owners still try their best not to sell any stake, especially at the early stages. So be
Mhm.
that as it may, there is a lot to learn about these things, Ryan. Lot of things to do. So for those people who want to learn more about you, about your company, for those people who want to engage with you professionally, what is the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I would love for them to go to my website, the number three, sparrows, and then es.com. So three sparrows, es.com. And I have a free growth guide there that they can download and just follow the three steps that I teach and lead through, and I hope that will help. And I'll even offer a free strategy session as well. So it's my goal to find the right fit to help somebody. If I can't help somebody, I'll let them know. So I'd love for them to visit that website, threesparrowses.com.
Wonderful, wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you, AJ. It's been a pleasure.